Hello, this is Hervé from Comic Book Bin, filling you in since 2002. Today we're going to be looking at the first wave of the Dungeon and Dragon cartoon action figures with Diana, Hank, and Bobby, and of course, Uni, the pet unicorn. Now, like I mentioned before, I found those action figures at $9 at my local Walmart. That's $9 Canadian. I could not pass on this. I wasn't going to buy them because I thought they were overpriced. It's a good thing that I waited. Maybe if I had waited even more, it would be even cheaper than that. But $9 is a good price for those figures. I think this is what a parent should be buying for their kid, and this is the right price for kids. If we want kids to play with action figures again, that's the price we need to price them. Now, this cartoon used to be a favorite of mine as a kid. There weren't many episodes, and I always found it a bit depressing in a sense that the kids never really found a way home, but that's okay. So this is the Dungeon and Dragon cartoon that introduced a whole generation to the game. Let's look at them in detail right now. So let's review this set right now. Let's start with Bobby. Bobby, by the way, cannot hold his mace well. So the hand is way too wide or small. It doesn't fit. Like, it used to be even tighter. Putting the mace in made the hand a bit wider, but it's still not good enough. So there's not much you can do with Bobby if you want him to keep the weapon on. I have to say that even though this is a kid, I like this sculpt a lot. It's not realistic. Well, because it's a kid, it is realistic compared to these guys, which are older teens. So what can Bobby do? All of the Dungeon and Dragon figures have limited articulation in the sense that it's not perfect articulation. So they only have one bent at the elbow, all of them. Bobby is completely pinless. That's a good thing. He can raise his arm almost to 90 degrees. His head can turn around. The ball joint on his neck is not great. You cannot remove the helmet. He doesn't have any ab crunch and can only swivel at the waist. He can raise his feet, but be careful because they're a bit stuck and stiff, even though he's been in hot water a few times already. They don't have swivels at the thighs, so you can't quite twist them. He can bend his knees, but have to be very careful not to break it. They really only bend completely after I've put them in hot water. No, okay, there it is. It's not easy. And you can already see it feels like it's damaged here already. He does have swivel at the calves, and his ankles are very articulated, so they do bend easily up and down and pivot. So that's very good if you want to put him on varying terrain. Although the way his weight is dispersed, it might be a bit difficult to make him stand a bit. And obviously the ankle, the wrist do twist. He has inside and outside bent here, and here it's up and down. Let's look at Hank. Now Hank's body is not nice. The torso is way too long. I'm not sure if the tunic is meant to be raised up like this, but it really does not look good. I think that the torso should be much shorter than that. He has overlays here and the skirt. Just like Bobby, he has 360 for his head. it doesn't really pivot all that much. No lollipops here, which means the peg is way too high. He can raise his shoulders a bit, but even though there's a cut in the tunic, it does get in the way somehow. Same thing for his thighs. Like I said, they don't have any swivel at the thighs, so that's an issue. He only has single elbow articulation. He doesn't even have any articulation at the wrist except for rotating wrist. His elbow single, but they can rotate. He does have a hula hoop on his waist, so that's a good thing. He can raise his thighs. He does have double knee articulation. Again, the plastic can tend to be stuck with those guys for the knees, so not easy to play with. And swivel at the calves, and good enough ankle articulation here. There really are no articulation in his hand beside the wrist. That's odd for a Hasbro figure. You'll notice the coloration of the knees does not match the plastic. That seems to be a permanent issue with a lot of the Hasbro product. They just don't match. It's not the same plastic, that's why they have problems matching the plastic. The durability of the plastic is not the same. Finally, Diana, the acrobat. 360 with the head. The hair does not get in the way, so that's good. But she cannot really rotate, pivot her head all that much, so no attitude from her. She has an articulation at the torso, so she can hop around here. Let's remove the stick. She can raise her arm at 90 degrees. There's rotation at the elbows. She does have articulation in her wrist, meaning she can bend them up and down on both sides, up and down, as well as rotate them. She cannot rotate her waist, so the only thing that rotates will be her upper torso. She can lift her leg, but it's often very stiff. Not a full Van Damme. Just like the other guys, the color of her knees is not matching the regular skin color of her legs. And you can rotate at the calves here. She has very good articulation at the ankles. Once you've played with them, put them in hot water, they are movable a bit better. It's a nice figure. Again, too cartoony for many people's taste, but at $9 you can't beat that. I think if Hasbro were to sell figures for $9, it would probably be more popular again with kids and parents. This is obviously another Dungeon and Dragon action figure. Does it fit the guys? He's a bit taller and his face is not cartoony, so he doesn't really fit with them, fortunately. Here's Warduke. Warduke was featured in the cartoon. I would say Warduke can fit with those guys because he doesn't have a real face. So it will fit in a odd and weird way with the kids. But obviously the scale is so off. And Guinevere, whatever her name is. And if I'm Uni, I'm afraid of this big cat over here. Uni, by the way, only has articulation at the head. Her head actually moves better than most of the other guys, so yeah. I'm not sure if Hasbro will release the other guys, the second wave, for cheap also. Well, if Walmart will reduce the price, I hope so. By the way, these are the extra weapons that came with the figures to mimic when they're using their powers or then fighting Venger or some other villain. I don't like this fire bow very much. Oops, might have had it the wrong way also. It should be this way, inside, from the inside. Well, I don't like this thing, so I'm not going to use it. And I think that this staff here feels like one of those Thor or Captain America action in movement object. I don't like this either. Transparent plastic might have worked better than green. This is gonna go in a bin somewhere with all the stuff that I need to get rid of, or if I can ever use it for as a prop elsewhere. So these are the Dungeon and Dragon action figures. Again, check your Walmart, check your Target, check Ollie's, check everything to see if you can find them for cheap. I think at $9, that's the price they're really worth. They're not worth more than that. They're much smaller than the other action figures, 112 action figures. They're very cartoony, and these were meant to be played by kids. So at $9, if I'm a parent, this is a great price for kids. Obviously, this cartoon doesn't play on TV anymore, so the kids don't even know who these guys are. But that's okay. This is Hervé from Comic Book Bin, filling you in since 2002. Like and subscribe.